Hello again, my name is Rodney Reynolds and this is yet another video review. Today I will be looking at the Dragon Orb 3. Okay, so this is the Thermaltake Dragon Orb 3 heatsink and fan combination. As you can see here, a very cool looking heatsink indeed. And one distinctive feature from this, from almost every other heatsink on the market, is that it has 3 places here to fit into each side on your motherboard, on your socket. So you have, instead of just the basic 2 on most heatsinks, which there would be this one here in the middle as well as this one has, in essence, 3 on each side, 6 clips. That's 4 clips over the regular heatsink. So this baby is not coming off your motherboard, and for a good reason. This heatsink is quite heavy, probably double the weight of most of the aluminum heatsinks, certainly double the weight of my Thermaltake aluminum heatsink. Now let me take apart this heatsink. This part down here on the bottom is pretty much all copper. As you can see here, the core right down to the bottom, the base up through, is all pure copper. And this is the fan, which is on top. Now this fan spins around 7,000 RPM, so it is not a very quiet fan, certainly, but it does cool this heatsink quite well. And if I can show you here how this actually attaches, the top part, which is light aluminum, and it attaches here quite easily to the base. And all you would do, as you can see, it's in all the way around now. And all you would do here is actually mount 3 screws in here to affix it to and keep it secure. Let's now install this in my computer. I'm using a T-Bird 1.2 gigahertz at 1.4 at 1.85 volts in a 8-bit KT7A grade motherboard. So before I install this, I want to show you how loud this 7,000 RPM fan is. So I'll turn the system on now. And as you can hear, this is the regular humming, buzzing noise of a 7,000 RPM fans. Many of them that are this speed are this loud. It's just symptomatic of the revolutions per minute. They're so high. So this is the heatsink, and it is installed. One thing about these orbs, which always are a little bit tricky, are the installation and pushing down of this clip on the right hand side. One thing to remember with almost all of the orbs is that most of them exert a fair amount of pressure, and in this case the clip is designed with, which I think, a little bit too much pressure and force, which potentially could crack the core when you're installing it. However, if you are cautious, careful, and take your time, this should not be a problem. And of course I recommend getting a non-conductive shim with any heatsink or any CPU you buy. So as for installing this, it was fairly simple to install. To remove, however, is another situation. You have to exert, again, some force down and in, pushing down while pressing in towards the heatsink, and you will remove it. Remember, this is held on by 6 clips, so the 6 clips on your motherboard will be holding, on your socket on your motherboard will be holding this down, and it will be very, very tight and very, very secure. Something else which is a little bit of a concern for me is the weight. Most computer systems, obviously, the motherboards are vertical. Therefore, the heat sinks are going to be somewhat hanging off of them, so to speak. Now, the great thing about this design, of course, is that they have 6. So, in a way, it isn't a concern because there is so many clips holding this thing on your motherboard, the weight does not really matter. So that was a concern for me initially, but with the design of the 6 clips, 6 things that hold this thing to the socket, it's very, very secure. So to sum up this video review, I give this Thermaltake Dragon Orb 3 a 8 out of 10. The reasons being, it's a little heavy and it is a little expensive. And I still do not like the design of the Dragon Orb 3 really. To get it on and off, for me, it seemed a little difficult. A lot of pressure force is required to push this thing into the socket on your motherboard. However, once it's on there, it's going to stay on there. With 6 clips holding it, it has a fantastic grasp, and one of the only heat sinks on the market right now to have these 6 clips, 3 on each side. That's an excellent way for all manufacturers of heat sinks to think about putting on their heat sink. Certainly very secure. Now, I was using, as I said before, a 8-bit KT7A RAID motherboard at 1.85 volts. The CPU is 1.2 gigahertz at 1.4 gigahertz. Using Prime 95 benchmark program for a few hours, the temperature was around 43 to 44 degrees Celsius. Now that's an excellent temperature. Great for this kind of product, certainly. The Orb, quite frankly, I didn't expect it to do this well. It's doing very well. 44, 43 is excellent at 1.85 volts at 1.4 gigahertz, overclocked to 200 megahertz on this particular CPU. So certainly I recommend picking this up. It's around $50 Canadian at this time. Again, my name is Rodney Reynolds, and this has been another video review. Stay tuned, and in 4 days we'll have a brand new video review. So be sure to check back then. Check out my website at www.3dgameman.com. Until the next time, take care.